I'm Amy, sex educator, sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure products company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.
You are listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
I am not happy Amy right now. I'm so used to being happy Amy like 95% of the time that when I'm not happy Amy, I go through a lot of processes, including, will people still love me? Chip still, I know that you still love me, Chip, but I am just...
You got a little Cunty McBagels in today.
Yeah, you walked in the door and I instantly took out...
I was like, ah!
And you were like, don't take out your shit on me. And I was like, you're right. I am having a hard time. I'm having some medical issues, everyone. I talked about how I got my libido back. I've been looking for it for 2.5 years. I got it back full force. And now that I'm fully aroused and turned on, I'm having a health issue with something that I had years ago in my 20s that I won't go too deep into it, but that my Bartholin's gland, if anyone else struggles with this, I think it's like 2% of vulva owners have this, where the two glands that vulva owners have that are responsible for one part of vaginal lubrication, kind of that silky fluid that you get when you're initially aroused. Mine have been kind of blocked, and I've had cysts on both of them, but one of them has been quite active since my 20s, and it's completely related to arousal. So when I'm aroused, they feel fluid, and the fluid gets stuck. And now that I'm fully turned on, and I've worked towards this thing, now my body's trying to block me. It's like my mind was trying to block me before, and my body too. And now my physical body is trying to block me, and it's really annoying. And it's one of those conditions where you get some answers from doctors and you don't get, it's not clear. And I'm fucking frustrated. I'm just feeling really down and low.
Sounds absolutely heartbreaking.
And when you need to go see a doctor, it's like hard to see one because they're like, oh, I'll see you in 3 weeks. It's a problem now. I can't wait for 3 weeks. So anyways, I just wanted to out that if I don't sound like my normal chipper self. I'm feeling really frustrated and just kind of low.
Well, we're all entitled. We're humans. We're not robots.
No.
And that's something that we were just working on. Well, to bring up our advertising situations, we listened to feedback, and we were just pre-recording our two favorite OMGS and Uberlube ads so we can insert them into future episodes because folks were complaining about the length of our ads. And we love our sponsors, and the reason that we chose these sponsors is because we love them, and we probably give them too much airtime, but now we're specific. And that being said, we're not robots, Amy. We're not robots, and it took us like 80 takes to do those ads because we're both in a funk.
Now people are going to listen, and they're going to be like, they weren't even that good. Okay, fine. It took like 10 takes because usually April and I are on fire. Podcasting for me is usually actually what brings me out of my low.
Yeah.
I can be super low, and it can just turn me on, and right now I just don't have it in me. And
we also did lose a very good friend in our community too recently. So we're dealing with some heavy stuff, but between all of us, and we're in podcast land, we're real people, and we struggle with real things and real life situations, health stuff. We lost a dear friend of ours, and it's been heavy. So we love all of you, and we thank you for tuning in. And Amy will be back. You'll be at your best self probably very soon. I'll help you get there because I love you.
Oh, Chip.
You can borrow Legend, even though he's a pain in your ass.
Yeah, it's her dog, everyone. I don't know if I can handle him right now. He's so adorable.
Probably not. He snugs though at night.
So as April said, we listen to all of your comments, whether it's on iTunes or via email. And the thing that we heard the most was that you were getting irritated with the way we did ads. So now we pre-recorded them, and they will be inserted in the middle of a podcast. So this intro will be shorter than usual, and there will not really be ads in here. We might plug a couple other things. And to start with what we're plugging, our Patreon donators, Jacob and Sydney. We love you. Thank you for donating on Patreon. We need that because we want to get new microphones, and
We've met Sydney.
We've met just via video.
Oh, via video.
Yeah,
I love her.
Yes.
Sydney, you are a moz.
And Jacob, we haven't met you yet, but we hope to meet you someday. I don't know what city you're from, but for our Patreon donators who help us to support this podcast, you can learn more by going to patreon.com/shameless. That's patreon.com/shamelesssex. And you can learn more about how to support our podcast. And when we have better mics, you can be like, I did that for them.
I also want to give a brief shout out to, we just got stickers made, Amy and I.
We did.
And
it's cartoon Amy and April.
I feel like a Disney princess in our new stickers, and they're just small. We're doing an event in Brooklyn in the Sex Expo in September. Yeah. So we wanted something to give out, and we're doing a few other contributions. But I do want to give a huge shout out to the creator. And she actually isn't on any sort of social media, but she does have a website and she does a lot of freelance work. So if you need any graphic design, website design, she's got great prices. She's amazing. Her name's Stacy Shuiso. And you can find her at stacyshuiso.com. And I'm going to actually spell it out for you. But Amy, talk about something else because I need to find the text message.
We're teaching in Salt Lake City in the first weekend of August. I believe that's August 3rd and 4th or 4th and 5th. It's the very first weekend of August in 2019 at Blue Boutique. The first night, which is Saturday night, we're teaching Orgasm 101. That's orgasm for everyone. And then the following Sunday morning, we're teaching blowjobs and brunch. And you get even a small brunch with maybe some mimosas. So to come and play with us, to learn more, go to blueboutique.com. You can learn, you can laugh, you can play. It's going to be a blast. Hope to see you there.
Brunch and blowjobs. I can't wait.
I love me some brunch and blowjobs.
Bacon. Tempeh bacon if you're not into bacon.
I'm not eating bacon.
I'm not either. Well, yeah, I am sometimes. So Stacy, her website is STACEYSCHWIESOW.com. And you can check out our sticker on our Instagram page. We're back on. By the way, we were shut down and now we're back on. Game on. Yes. Sex educators are being shut down on Instagram. As you'll hear in this episode, Veronica actually mentioned it a little bit, but we got shut down again for a minute and we were scared that we weren't going to be back. But we posted a little story about with our stickers and about Stacy. So if you need web stuff, I know we always need some kind of web help and graphic design stuff. She can do that. So
thanks Stacy, for making us a cute little cartoon. We're adorable. And if you are all in Brooklyn, you will receive one. Come visit us at the Sex Expo. So a sex question. This is a longer sex question. April has not heard it yet. So are you ready for it?
Surprise.
So this is from a long-term listener. I've been listening to your podcast for 2 years on Spotify. Yes, we're on Spotify. We're also on iTunes, Google Play, etc. I'm married and been with my wife for about 10 years. We love our kids, but they are both a lot of work and my wife struggles. My wife never wanted to have sex, and when we did, she would complain and tell me to be quick. To be honest, I have felt like my wife was not really a sexual person and we have had mismatched sex drives. I supplement this with porn. On a good week, we would have sex around 3 times. On an average one, only 1 time, but generally do at least once. With ex-girlfriends prior to meeting my wife, we would have sex every day we could. My wife will usually only have sex in missionary position and sometimes while she lays on her stomach and I enter her from behind. She doesn't like oral sex and won't allow me to go down on her. She isn't willing to try new things no matter how hard I try. Could this mean she doesn't actually love me? And do some girls not like oral sex? Sex actually got better when I used some of your tips that you guys have given. I try to massage her and make her feel comfortable beforehand. I guess I'm just trying to get something I could use to improve things. A lot of the tips center around oral sex and toys, which I'm happy to try, but she isn't. I think maybe she struggles to relax and let me take control.
Okay.
All right.
I have some familiarity. I said that right?
My brain doesn't even
hope
know
so.
what. Into the grammar control, folks, right now, please spare us because we're having a hard day.
Yeah, just give us a break right now. I've been in the boat of his partner before. One of my first long-term relationships.
Marriage.
My marriage, we had good sex. I had not been comfortable in my own body for a little while because of just a lack of exercise. I wasn't doing things that really lit me up except kind of consuming, if you will. And I wasn't feeling comfortable. My first relationship, though, my first long-term relationship, I would always want him to fuck me quick and finish. And missionary or doggy. I knew doggy would get him off faster. So I'd always be like, let's do doggy.
Get it over with.
So to get it over with. Yeah. And I have to say, I can't relate to her, what she's going through, because I don't know what she's going through. She hasn't communicated that. And I can say it may be some body stuff. It may be some physical or some emotional stuff mixed with the physical stuff. You don't know. However, I will say that it won't change. You can't change it for her. She is going to have to change it for herself. And it sounds like you're making a lot of really smart moves to do your part to kind of better the sexual relationship. And I'm sure Amy's going to have some awesome tips. In my opinion, it does come down to her kind of making the shift. And children, of course, they're exhausting and you're going to be spent. I mean, it's not comparative, but I have a dog and it fucking exhausts me sometimes. I'm like, he's a puppy, he's crazy, I'm up all night. Not the same thing. I didn't birth the animal, and so my body hasn't changed. However, I will say that a lot of it comes down to your self-awareness, self-confidence, and if she's really not into trying anything or making any shifts, that might be something that you need to talk to her about. Maybe there's a renegotiation in the mix for the relationship. If your sexual needs aren't getting met, not right away, maybe you need to seek help outside of the relationship, a neutral party, some kind of coach. However, you can't do this for your partner.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the questions. One, could this mean that she doesn't actually love me? We don't know the answer to that. My guess is she probably, I don't know. Most likely
doesn't love herself.
Well, and it probably, wouldn't take it. I mean, maybe there's some part of it that's personal, but like April said, it seems like it's probably more personal for her. Again, we don't know. But just because someone isn't in their desire, in their erotic body, doesn't necessarily mean it has anything to do with you and that they don't want to fuck you because they don't love you or whatever that is. So we don't know the answer to that. But what I would suggest is making it personal a little, put that on the sidelines as much as you possibly can, and don't interpret her desire to have sex with you as in relation to her love for you, because that's a lot of pressure, right? Someone can fully love you and not have a lot of desire for sex, and they can be completely separate things. And for her, it can be related to something else. Yes, it might be related to how you're showing up in the relationship. It might be related to old resentments that you guys haven't talked about. Maybe you're not communicating about a lot of stuff, but either of you. It sounds like she's not talking about a lot of things. Maybe it's old stuff that just hasn't been worked through yet, and it's leaking into the relationship. And that affects sex. It affects desire. It affects bodies to relax, their ability to relax and to feel safe. So this is a very complex question that we probably won't have the perfect answer for, but I would say to do some research with her, because it sounds like you have a lot of questions and you have these ideas of who she is and what she's into and not. And maybe really express to her, hey, these are the questions that come up when we don't have a lot of sexual connection. Do you love me? Do you find me attractive? You also said something, though, about your ex-girlfriend. And you said, sorry, I'll go back to your relationship. You, on a good week, you have sex 3 times a week. On an average week, 1 time. I'm sorry, but most of the married people I know, 1 time a week is kind of fucking fabulous.
What are you talking about, ex-girlfriend? I didn't hear that part.
And then they said that with ex-girlfriends prior to meeting my wife, we would have sex almost every day. Yeah,
with other people
because you were married and didn't have kids. Yeah, but I'm sorry, for married people with 2 children who are having sex 1 time a week, that's kind of that's great.
Children are energy suckers, and 2 of them are double energy suckers. And
do you have jobs too?
If they have, yeah. I mean, children are jobs too. And if she's home with the children,
yeah,
or if you're home with the children, and she's working about whatever scenario is happening here, it sounds like there needs to be maybe some space given for fun intimacy time where you actually can make space.
And I would also say, like April said, there's a negotiation here, right? So you're saying, okay, we have sex 1 time a week and I would prefer 3 times a week. you talk to her about this. First of all, you talk about what the feelings that are coming up for you. You know, you're feeling unlovable, like it's bringing up this feeling maybe she's not really that into you, and owning that as yours, not telling her that's her experience, but this is yours, and that you desire sex more than once a week, and then she gets to express how she feels, where she's at, what she needs, how much sex she desires, and then you negotiate and meet each other. But I can say for all of the married people that I know have been together for 10 years and have 2 kids, one time a week is kind of badass. Like I know people that are having sex once a month. And actually, what were the statistics that we got? It wasn't just statistics for the Sexless Marriage podcast we did.
Yeah.
She said that to qualify as a sexless marriage, wasn't it
10 times per year?
Yes, 10 times per year. So technically speaking,
Esther Perel talks about that being bullshit though too.
Yes, but this person still, because that also takes away from each person's unique experience. Yet this person is far surpassing that already. I think again, you make your own rules, but really having a conversation with your wife, with your partner, and giving space for her to have her experience. Now they also say, and also please don't compare your wife of 10 years to your past ex-girlfriends.
No,
they're completely different entities in terms of their experience, and then the life that you've built and what comes with that. And then, do some girls not like oral sex? Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Humans are humans. Everyone's different. We're not robots, as we were just talking about in the beginning.
And I can talk about myself and my experience with oral sex. My first couple partners did not go down on me. Then when people started to, it just felt weird and ticklish. And I've had some really good experiences with oral sex, but for the most part, it's a tricky barrier to get over because of my past conditioning. And only until recently am I having experiences with partners where any touch that they give never feels ticklish, even when they put their finger on my belly button. And I fucking hate that. But now all of a sudden it feels good because I feel really safe and I feel like they know what they're doing or whatever that is. I'm enjoying it. And so here's 2 examples. One, sexuality is fluid and constantly changing. Mm-hmm. And the stories we have, I don't like oral sex, can change tomorrow. 2, yeah, everyone's different and some people aren't a big fan of oral sex. I'm guessing when you say I try to massage her and make her feel comfortable beforehand, that's wonderful, and I'm really glad you're doing that, and you're going slower, and you're doing more foreplay and care. I'm guessing that the biggest piece here is that you two need to have some deep conversations, because it sounds like you have an idea of her experience and what's going on, and she's not big on talking about it or trying new things, and that there's some deeper levels of talking about it, that if it can't happen between the two of you on your own, you go, like April said, therapist or coach, and you dive in there, because that's where the gold is.
And just the final thoughts. If your partner in all of this work isn't wanting to participate or willing to participate, perhaps then you have to redefine the relationship. This is why we get stuck and make bad choices outside of our relationships. And I'm not saying bad choices, but choices that are out of integrity. So let's say you're getting so much pushback from your partner, and after months you're over it. She doesn't want to work on it. She's just not into this. She's not into that. And you've seen a coach, or she doesn't want to see a coach, then just redefine. Sometimes it's okay to be like, hey, my needs aren't being met. I love you. I would love more sex. How does this look? If like I can't get that with you, would it be okay to maybe explore something else?
Yeah. There's sex workers out there. There's open relationships. There's separation. There's divorce. There's a lot of options. They don't sound easier, and some of them are probably absolutely terrifying for you, and you have 2 kids. So, but at any rate, conversations, open up the doors. And if you can't go anywhere in the conversations between the 2 of you, go do it with the help of someone else. In fact, maybe go do the help with someone else no matter what, because having a middle person there who can be a really good non-biased guide is a game changer. I do that work with people. We've had a lot of coaches on here on the podcast. I think Veronica does coaching, actually, who's our guest on this show. And there's also therapists, hopefully, in your area. So good luck to you. And hey, I want to always just add this to anyone that sends us a sex question, even if it sounds like we are questioning some of your questions. Hats off to you for sending us a sex question. That really means that you care and you want to grow. So we love that.
Well, can I add one last thing, not to this question, to our listeners? We do listen to feedback. We appreciate constructive criticism. And if you love this podcast and you've never done so, if you can go to iTunes and give us 5 stars, we actually read all of the reviews. And if you don't feel like it's 5-star worthy, but you're a listener, give us some constructive criticism. But we love 5 stars. I'm just going to say that.
April's like, can you just email that to us so that
Yeah.
we'll make the change.
If you're an avid listener and never have rated us on iTunes, it just helps people. The only thing it does for us, we don't get money or anything. We get higher ratings, and it can help other people find us that need tools, that are searching and hungry for tools in their relationships, in their sex lives. So it's not just about us feeling like gluttonous about, yeah, we're so cool.
Oh, no.
It's about us.
We own our stuff. I've heard very little other podcasts that will go on the air and say, yeah, you're right. We fucked up and now we're going to try better.
But the operative word in that was constructive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you write us, you make me want to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, we've talked about
probably
this one, yeah.
won't.
Yeah, we're not
Take
going
that
to change. We can't
seriously.
change who we are.
I love life. I'm not jumping off a bridge.
No,
Sorry.
they want to jump off a bridge. We're not jumping off.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what they said. Oh, they didn't want to kill me. They wanted to kill themselves.
Like,
That's
April,
fine.
go jump off a bridge.
If you want to do that, that's your choice.
So I'm going to, but we hope that you don't. Going to read a bio for you, everyone. This is a fun, juicy podcast because we actually share a lot of private details in this about, although we do that in most podcasts, but about our own sex lives. We're talking about how to be a empowered feminist submissive, or just how to be an empowered submissive, because not all submissives identify as, well, I guess hopefully they're feminists, because I think that all folks of all genders can be feminists. Veronica is awesome, and she talks about some life hacks, personal tricks and tools. Did I said that right? Tricks and tools. I did. God, I'm exhausted.
Tricks and tips.
Tricks and tips. So, without further ado, here is the bio. So Veronica is a multi-passionate entrepreneur on a mission to strip people bare, consensually everyone, of the expectations and limiting beliefs that do not serve them, so they can thrive unapologetically exactly as they are. From systems to spankings, she emboldens women to leverage their pleasure and power in business and the bedroom, with business laid bare, systems for creatives and entrepreneurs that scale and save their sanity, and desires laid bare, kink education for beginners in a fun and shame-free way. She gets all hot and bothered by diligent process, thoughtful protocols, and high-quality service, from the spreadsheets to the bed sheets. Visit veronicayahns.com to learn more. That's Veronicayahns.com. April, are you ready?
Yes, Daddy.
All right, everyone, it is episode time. And this one probably speaks to both April and I, especially maybe because I definitely identify as a sub, although I'm getting a little more switchy as time is going on, as I'm discovering. But I'm excited to learn more about this. And I love the topic of specifically how we can be a feminist, be empowered, and a sub, especially in this day and age with porn. So Veronica, really, really happy to have you here on Shameless Sex. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Like, it is one of my favorite, if not my favorite topic to talk about regarding feminism, power, and being a submissive, because it sounds like such a huge oxymoron.
Yeah, it does. And I think that again, like as I said before, with porn, it gets a little more confusing, especially if you see porn that is specifically like dominant submission porn. I don't know how much feminism applies to that in the mainstream world, but can you tell our listeners, what does it mean to be submissive? Who can be submissive? Who are the type of folks that are identifying with this, and what does that actually mean?
Okay, so of course you start off with the most loaded question. Because submission is different for everybody. What I've learned, so tangent, I'm a tangential person. So tangent, what I learned about being in the kink community, living at 24/7, is that if you asked 20 different submissives what it meant to be submissive to them, you get like probably 25 different answers, because people can't decide, or it's like an amalgamation of whatever it means for them. So for me personally, I think it just means that you enjoy letting others lead. So what's a little bit different about me, and it wasn't this way to start, was that to me, dominance and submission, people talk about control and not control or power. And I've noticed that for me, in order for me to be submissive, for me to submit to my partner, who is also my master, we live a 24/7 master-slave relationship, I have to be in the utmost control of myself. I have to feel the most powerful and most badass. So the thought of giving up control seems like it's a recipe for me to run. So for me personally, I think it's just allowing others to lead. And for other people, they might say it's giving up control, or they might think of it as sexual submission. So submission for them is always sex. So I get to ask you both, what does submission mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think like what you said about letting someone else lead. So if I think into my experiences of, or many experiences of identifying someone as a sub or submissive, it would be letting someone else lead, letting someone else guide. And there's a caretaking component for me, at least, where I'm feeling energetically and emotionally and physically taken care of by someone who is showing up maybe with a little more strength than I am, or direction, I guess. I guess that's part of the leading. What about you, Chip?
I think for me, it's more of someone else taking control, and it doesn't have to be in sort of I don't think of it as like this soft way. I think of it more of it can be like a harder way, and not I'm not talking like physically hard on my body, like throwing me around, but it could incorporate that. I just think about it as more of me kind of loosening my reins, which I hold on pretty tight to in day-to-day life, and letting someone else take over. And that could be vocalizing, or actually physically, I guess, tossing me around, or
I like that too.
Yeah, a lot of different levels.
So you're talking about assertiveness.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, because to me, in order for me to submit to somebody, they have had to earn that. Like, I have to respect them enough to kneel before them, not under them, but before them, in order for me to do what I do best. And so to answer your second question, anybody can be submissive. Ideally, you want someone who's more called to be on the S side. So submissive doesn't necessarily have to be dominance and submission, but there's like littles or baby girls and baby boys, or anybody basically on the right side of the slash. So you can talk about pets. So pets and their handlers are a type of dominance and submission, or masochists are a type of submission on the S side, depending on how you look at it. So anybody can be on that side, but it's even more fun when you identify and it speaks to you.
What are these littles that you're speaking of?
So
I don't know. I'm new to this, the terms.
So I admit I have, and the fact that my partner's going to hear this, he'll just never let me live it down. But I have some little in me, and I'm putting in air quotes, because in the BDSM community, when you are a little, it's age play, age regression, however far you want to go back. So like some people, when they're in their little space, they're talking like from one end of the extreme to like diapers, to maybe even someone who's more of a middle like me. So I don't consider myself a little who has to draw, who needs a bottle. I'm more like your 13, 14, 15-year-old who's like a forever kid, who's jovial. So it's just a different type of mental headspace for you to be in. That's not where you are now, like age and quote unquote maturity wise.
So are there bigs too?
Yeah. So that would be like your mommy and your daddy.
Got it. Okay.
So that's, or like or you're maybe more of a submissive who likes that nurture or needs that nurture, that reassurance from a father or motherly figure. And I know that in the age of gender fluidity, I'm probably like stepping on a whole bunch of landmines, but I'm just trying to like clarify. There are so many different terms of how you want to use it, but it's like there are the caretakers and there are the people that want to be taken care of. So that's like the bigs and the littles.
Hence why I love me some daddy little girl play.
I've always heard that like the daddy, I always tap into the daddy thing with me, but I've never heard of the littles and the bigs. So that's it. And maybe I jumped ahead. Maybe we were going to get into that, but I was curious as soon as you talked about that. So thanks for sharing that.
Well, when you play with daddy, like if you're playing with someone and you call them daddy, do you feel a certain age, or do you just feel like adult April still saying daddy?
I just feel like myself calling them daddy. Like I tap into kind of something, the rawness or the wrongness in my head of it. Like, definitely, I don't think that I ever go back to this teenage self, or even child self. At least not that I can recall off the top of my head while I'm thinking about it. I more tap into like that, like what the spank bank material. And I'm like, yeah, daddy.
I've been bad.
Yeah.
Do something. And there's no right or wrong way to kink or BDSM. There's just a safe and healthy, empowered, consensual way. Okay, that's a lot of ways, but there's no right or wrong as long as you're safe and everybody that's involved is okay. So like for me, when we talk about, if we're going to talk about the little stuff, like sometimes I enjoy that juice box, or like I'm pretty short. So when I sit on some chairs, I don't touch the ground. So you'll see me like just swinging my legs and my partner will be like, your middle little is showing. I'm like, okay.
And you have props, like you bust out a Capri Sun or something. You're like, here's my juice box.
The upside down sprinkler style.
Yeah. So anybody can be a little, and there's so many like roles and names for how people want to be treated. Like sometimes princess may mean being a queen, like who likes to be served upon, or princess could be on the little side. So it's like whatever meaning you attribute to it, so long as it means something to you, that's all that matters.
So on this note, because I know age, I mean, I'm totally into age play, but I know that for some people it can be like, oh my God, you're playing into things that go under like the category of pedophilia or whatever that is. And I want to remind everyone that this is role play and this is, fantasy. This doesn't necessarily mean that if someone wants to play a little, like myself, if I play into being 8-year-old, it doesn't mean that, the person that I'm playing with actually wants to play with 8-year-olds, nor that I really am one. I'm actually 34. But on that note, some people probably are asking you, how is this still feminist? Especially if we're talking about the little or the submissive person being a vulva owner. How is this feminist? How is this still empowered?
I love that question because I actually discovered that I was submissive when I was taking a feminist studies 101 class. So ambivalence is real. And I had this desire to read all the feminism literature and to be strong and empowered. But I also had the same desire to be spanked, to be tied down, to be told what to do, to not have to make any decisions. So it took me a long time to really figure out, I'm like, am I even allowed to be a feminist? I mean, all of these people who've done so much for me to give me the rights and freedoms I have now, am I just like giving it all back by going, regressing back to like the 1950s or whatever it is, right? So it took me a long time to reconcile that feminism to me is the right to choose your own path, or the freedom to choose your own path. So you can be feminist, you can be kinky, you can be submissive, you can be an entrepreneur who makes $1 gazillion. So long as you are exercising your freedom to choose, because that's what our forefathers, sisters, brothers, or whoever have given to us, then I feel like that is the definition of feminism.
Yeah, I like that. I like that definition of feminism. I think it's a kind of a loaded word, right? There's people who
think of it as people with hairy armpits,
or that hate men,
or right, like someone that's out there just masculine bashing, or I don't know. I just was listening to something about this on This American Life about the kind of like the what feminism means to our country, but also how loaded of a word it is and people's reactions to it, which I feel like I'm a feminist. Yeah. And I'm like, I love men. I love all genders. So what's up?
And maybe you like to get spanked too. And I like that that definition that it's the right to choose your own path, which makes perfect sense. I'm totally taking that definition. I don't know if you got it somewhere else, but I'm totally taking that. Which means, if my path is I want, daddy to spank me, but I want it and I'm choosing it in a strong, empowered way, then fuck yeah, I'm a feminist and I'm empowered. And I'm also pretty awesome and kinky because I like to do.
Yeah, there we go.
And if that's not your jam, everyone, I don't want to like vanilla shame folks who are, not into kink at all, because there's not one perfect way to be. And that's just maybe something that some of us identify with here. But if that's not your jam, all good.
Which that's a good segue for another question, which is, okay, I'm this strong, empowered woman, and I want to explore some submission without sacrificing my strength and my badassery. So do you have tips that you can share for folks that maybe are coming from a place of, hey, I'm a badass, I'm strong, but I want to learn how to be submissive?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually taught a workshop on this not too long ago. I taught a workshop on how to submit as your powerful self without sacrificing who you are. And the most important part is to really do some introspection. Like, if you are a powerful person, there's a reason why you're powerful. And if you know you're powerful, you're powerful. So it's like, write down things that you don't want to sacrifice. Like, you shouldn't have to change or sacrifice who you are to fit somebody else's mold, or think that that person won't like you as much because you are too strong and you've emasculated them. That's happened to me a lot. Like, a lot of people got intimidated by me when I'm like, look, I'm submissive, obviously, but I also have dreams of being like a serial entrepreneur who's really, really successful, and nothing will stop me. So it's like, I choose to be all these things. And it's like, you either take me or leave me. So it's like, don't sacrifice your beliefs. Don't sacrifice your core values. Figure out what's important to you and make sure that you honor that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it sounds super like there's no really tips, but it's like, you know who you are.
Mm-hmm. I don't mean to bring up another series because I did that before we started recording, but have you ever seen the show Billions?
Yes.
Oh my God. So that is the perfect example of this. Obviously, if no one out there in listener land has seen it, it's on, is it on Showtime?
It was on Showtime. I used to have like Xfinity, but like the opening scene of the pilot episode.
Right? The best. It was this.
Go watch it.
Totally great scene. But in the show, there is a serious man that's in, a position of power. He is the district attorney. No, whatever.
Paul Giamatti's character.
And he loves to get peed on. And so he's just, it's a complete example. And his wife in the show kind of is the best dominatrix ever. But that's a perfect example of what you're talking about though. I mean, it's like, you can be super powerful and still be submissive.
So kink should never take away from your identity. Mm-hmm. If you have to choose between being kinky or being this, or if people say that you have to, then you're not hanging out with the right crowd. Mm-hmm. It's like kink and BDSM is like the wild, wild west. This is where you get to choose how you want to live your life. You get to make your own rules, so to speak. And so it's like, why not have your cake and eat it too? If kink is taking away from your identity, then there's something that needs to be addressed. So it's like sometimes sitting in this like oxymoronic world is kind of hard because we like things that are black and white, or that we know we're kinky, or we know we're not kinky, or we know we're homosexual, we know we're heterosexual. But it's like, this is where you get to play in the gray space, however many shades you want to play in.
No shame. That's
no shame. That's right.
Right.
And so that example they use about the person getting urinated on, I mean, that could also go into like humiliation play. Would you put things like that, like humiliation play, like maybe submission is its big, broader category, and humiliation play would be one of the subcategories of that?
Probably, or the other way around. So to me, when you were talking about the whole vanilla thing, and yeah, I hate using the word vanilla because there's so many negative connotations to that, and it almost shames people. Like, even if I'm kinky as all hell, I'm not going to shame somebody for being uber vanilla. So like, to me, the definition of being kinky is like embodying or living a relationship or lifestyle that goes against the grain of what society expects from you, which is why being kinky is different for everyone, because that line in the sand between kink and non-kink is different. Like, somebody only knowing missionary style all their life suddenly does doggy style. Like, that's kinky as all hell, but that could be someone else's Tuesday night. So it doesn't matter.
We as humans are so great about putting labels on everything. Amy and I taught a workshop I think like last week or the week before, and someone was asking in the class what our definition of foreplay is. And we were like, there is no definition. You create your own.
Ooh, that's good.
Especially with what we all think of sex as well. Like you ask 20 different people what sex is, you might get similar answers, but you might get 20 different answers as well. And I think creating your own rules is probably our favorite hashtag on this podcast. And I think that submission and not losing your identity it fits into that mold as well. So I that's important. I like that. I'm not going to lose my identity, and I'm going to be a strong ass bitch, and I'm going to be submissive.
Yeah. And to me, the best form of submission is when you submit mind, body, and heart, because there's sexual submission, which is most definitely physical. But then to me, kink and BDSM, it's such a mindset thing. Like if you know you're submissive, like for me, for example, people are like, how can you be submissive? You're like an entrepreneur who has to make all these different decisions in your life every day. And it's like, well, at the same time, I'm doing this because I'm serving my master. My master believes in hard work. Like that's one of his huge core values. And it's like doing this serves me, and doing this serves the relationship. Doing this serves the dynamic. I'm following protocol. He wants me to succeed in my business. So it's like, it's a mental thing. Mm-hmm. So when you explore submission with mind, body, and heart, I think that is most authentic, because that means that you are creating your own, I call it submissive special sauce.
Yum. I'll take a side of that.
Because you're creating it and it's unique to you. And while you may draw inspiration from your friends or other people or from movies and media, it's like at the end of the day, if you follow that, it's like, it's going to be really satisfying. And I don't think that you're going to be able to sacrifice anything because you're staying true to yourself.
And that's one question I want to ask you, because for folks who maybe don't identify with this, they wonder, what are people getting out of it, being in the submissive role? And one thing I wanted to add to that, when you said the mind, body, heart, I think is what you said. For me to really fully submit and surrender, I have to feel really safe. Like that is a key thing. What, like this other person or people that I'm playing with, that they got this, and not only do they have this under control, but that they are really looking out for my heart and my safety and my well-being, and then I can fully submit. And I can say for me, one thing I get out of it is this deep desire. I'm a caretaker in everyday real life. And I feel like it's kind of one of the ultimate ways for me to get taken care of as a caretaker, so to get that part of me just really nourished in a deep, powerful way. But what are some of the other reasons why some people would enjoy being submissive?
So for me personally, so I'm just going to talk about myself, because I don't want to make like a huge generalization, but for me, I love being submissive because one, it's like my calling. It's like it's like, there's no other way but you just know that being submissive, like servicing others, not sexually, but like being a service submissive, like doing things for others because it makes them feel good, also makes me feel good. And at the end of the day, I think it's about freedom. Mm-hmm. If I submit to my master and I let him lead, which by the way, when people ask, how can I be a slave when I'm so like strong in personality? I'm like, it's kind of like how CEOs and COO works. He has the vision. He's the CEO. I'm the COO. I trust him to lead where our relationship is going based on his vision. And I have like the chops to take action, the operational side to make things work and happen where need be. So it's like, for me, that trust is so important, because if I don't trust somebody, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's freedom. I also have anxiety. And so knowing that I just need to follow and I don't need to think 10 steps ahead or 20 steps ahead like I do in my day-to-day life, it's kind of like a break too. And so, but at the end of the day, I think I just love it because I'm submissive to one person. Just because you're submissive. So here's a big myth. People think that if you're submissive to like everybody. No, fuck no. You're submissive to the people or peoples you choose. And so he's the only one that gets this from me.
Yeah.
There's some peace to it. Just kneeling there sometimes, or just knowing that I just need to do this. I don't know. There's peace, freedom, contentment. Yeah. I think those are the main ones and satisfaction, of course, but like why people do it, like that freedom part is great.
This podcast is made possible by some of our favorite things. Uberlube is one of them. Amy, why do you love Uberlube so much?
I don't just love Uberlube. I am obsessed with Uberlube. Before I used Uberlube, I had no idea that a lubricant could be this good. Uberlube is a luxurious lubricant that I literally want all over my body. Yes, I mostly use it for sex and intimacy, and let me tell you, it enhances everything. It has no flavor. It has no scent. It never gets sticky. It almost feels velvety and powdery on my skin. I want it everywhere. And let me tell you, it also has other uses. You can use it in your hair, for your hair frizzies. You can use it for massage. You can use it for chafing. Again, mostly using it for sex, and it allows me to feel that skin-on-skin intimacy that a lot of other lubricants do not allow for. April, what about you? What do you love about Uberlube?
I love the beautiful bottle. It's glass. It looks like perfume or some kind of beautiful cosmetic. Put it on my nightstand. Nobody knows what it is.
So to learn more about Uberlube, go to uberlube.com, enter coupon code shamelesssex in all caps. You get 10% off and free shipping. This podcast is also made possible by omgyes.com. April, what do you love about OMGS?
Oh my God, yes. I love OMGS. It's a research-based online program where you can look at 2 seasons, external, internal, vulva stimulation. It's tools for your tool belt. Add things to your menu.
So if you're looking to up your orgasm game, if you own a vulva, maybe you already have amazing orgasms. Maybe you want even more amazing orgasms. Maybe you've never had an orgasm. OMGS is something for you. If you're a vulva fan and you want to learn how to pleasure a vulva, OMGS is something for you. Again, research-based. You get to watch these tasteful, non-pornographic videos that give you a real idea of what real body's like so that you're not left in the dark. To learn more, go to omgyes.com/shameless. You get $5 off and you can watch the videos unlimited times. It is a game changer for all of my clients, all of our listeners who have watched it. You can find out for yourself. Go check it out. And on that note, we've had this question from some listeners before, and I think that it's a good thing to touch on. So submissive doesn't necessarily mean that you never initiate. And I think that people that they kind of sometimes fall into that, like, oh, I'm submissive, or so I'm going to wait for them to initiate. But then the other people or person, they desire for sex to still be initiated, to feel wanted and desired. What are some ways that a submissive person can still initiate play and still be submissive?
There are so many things. I initiate things like no other. And it's up to, my partner to reciprocate. Sometimes if I initiate too strongly, it might seem like I'm trying to quote unquote top from the bottom, meaning try to take the lead, but as the bottom, the submissive, the S type. But to me, leading or taking initiative is even just like asking. Mm-hmm. Like, I would really enjoy this. And I don't think that there's any harm in communication. So to the listeners that think they're not submissive, because it's like a mindset, remember? No matter if you're submissive or dominant, communication doesn't make or break you. Mm-hmm. It's if you stay in that headspace. Mm-hmm. I think there's no wrong answer. So many, I'm trying to think of like all the things. Like, you can lay out some toys on the bed, mm-hmm. like hint, hint, hint. Mm-hmm. Or if you're into what I call funishment, not punishment, but like funishment, you do things like you brat out to like get quote unquote punished. Mm-hmm. That's a fun way of initiating something.
That was one thing I was thinking about is so like when I play into it, because I can play into being the really good girl or the really bad girl, and either way I win. So,
yeah.
If I'm the really good girl, then I'll probably still get extra care, or even like something that is still feels like not really punishment, but extra care in a dominant submissive way. I'll be the submissive one and I win. But if I also get punishment for fucking up on purpose and being the bratty little girl or fucking up on accident, then I still win. And so it's a really fun way to play. And sometimes I am like playing that, like I'm the bratty girl that's intentionally making mistakes. Oh, I dropped this thing, you know.
That you told
Oh,
me
no.
not to drop.
I know. Oh, oops, look, I did it. I can't believe I did it again. That's what Britney Spears is singing the whole time. Oops, I did it again. She's just submissive, dropping things, waiting for a spanking. Yeah, I think I agree that it's easy to do. It doesn't take a lot. I think just a reminder to listeners that they're not the same of you know, so the submissive does initiate, and maybe they don't initiate in the same way a dominant person would, but it can still be there can still be an intention behind the initiation.
And I also think it's sorry, go ahead, Veronica.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I was going to say it's human to ask for what you want and need. That's BDSM or kink aside. So I don't think it makes you any less submissive to ask for what you need because you're human.
I mean, if you're just like, Daddy, my pussy needs punishment, that is a submissive initiation.
Hey, I fight to lose, but I will fight damn hard to win.
You could also take it to a level of, hey, Daddy, my pussy needs a hug, right? Something if you don't want punishment, right? I mean, can it be softer in that regard? And that's something that for me, being perhaps unequivocally lacking in the knowledge of BDSM, where I'm like, oh, I'm out of my element since I'm not dressed up in latex and have, you know, a flogger, or am not. So I mean, I take it to this level of dungeons, and I think perhaps I'm going to speak for myself, but maybe some folks out there listening feel the same way. They think of domination and submission as something that's like they see in the movies, and there's a ball gag. It can be softer. It can be whatever level I think that you want it to be. Am I right in
totally
that discourse?
So like my partner and I, we don't own any leather. In fact, I really don't like to wear black anymore because I like to wear colors and red or blue or pink or whatever it is, but that doesn't make me less kinky. So there's a lot of people out there that in the kink community, we kind of make fun of them as the one true wayers because they're like, it's the one true way. If you don't do it this way, which most likely is their way, then you're doing it wrong. Like some people will have ideas that submissives need to only be seen and not heard and are meek and quiet and like doormats. And I'm like, fuck no, I will speak my mind when I am upset. I mean, I'll be respectful about it, but it's like, that is, if that's not who you are and you're being made to be quiet, then that's sacrificing, you know, you're sacrificing who you are to like please somebody else. And that's not going to be sustainable. So to go back to the whole dress code thing, I like to wear dresses. I in fact like to wear jeans sometimes, or actually I don't wear jeans because that's not protocol, but like my partner will wear jeans to a kink convention because wearing jeans doesn't make you less domly or less kinky. But like you'll see some people at those kink conventions, they're like, oh, I'm all in black and leather. And then next week they're like in cargo shorts and flip-flops. So it's like, we'd rather just be comfortable.
Well, and there's a difference too. I mean, you're saying that you live it 24/7, and some other folks just drop in and out of it, right? And they have small little windows of for you. It sounds like it's more of a lifestyle, of everyday lifestyle. For some people, it's just something that they do, and then there's not one better way, but there's different ways of doing it.
Just don't yuck.
Don't yuck someone else's yum.
I love that.
I know, I love that. I always think of yams when I say that. Yum. So what are some ways that a dominant partner can help empower their submissive lover? You just said that whole thing about people think that submissive should be doormats. And that to me was like, okay, yeah, that's when submission, now if we're talking about a vulva owner, is not feminist and is not empowered. So I imagine one of the ways is for a dominant partner or, a top or however they identify to open the doors of communication, to invite their partner, their submissive partner, to initiate, to speak what they want and what they need, to ask questions. But do you have any other ideas for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest one is just making them feel safe to be themselves, to explore, and most importantly, to speak up, because I don't like looking bad, or I don't like not knowing or being in the know or not being in the know. Like sometimes my ego gets in my way, my pride gets in my way, but it's like, creating a safe space, because that's all a protective mechanism. But if you create a safe space for your submissive to be able to communicate with you, like the whole initiation thing, and not get punished for it because he or she or they spoke up, it's like that's going to help the submissive feel like they can trust you and that they can start to sink into that role, however long they want to be in that role, 10% of the time, 100% of the time, it doesn't matter. So lead with compassion, lead with empathy, lead with understanding, because there's a lot of baggage that comes with being a submissive, especially women or vulva owners. It's like we have all these expectations of us. It's like, be assertive, but not too bossy, or, be complacent, but not too complacent, because otherwise then you're lazy. The whole
pillow princess.
Yeah. So it's like allowing them to feel safe to express themselves in the way that feels natural is going to help empower the submissives to speak up, or even to take action or to initiate. And I think it's going to be so much fun, because honestly, who wants a submissive that will just say yes to everything, or who's a doormat, who doesn't have, her own mind, who's not going to speak up? Like, that's no fun. Some people want that, don't get me wrong, and whatever floats their boat. But for me, it's like, I'm really grateful that my partner values my perspective, or likes it when I speak up and challenges him sometimes, because that initiates some other fun times.
So you could use that as you spoke up and asked for what you want, and I'm totally going to do it, but now you're going to get punished. But you told somebody what you want, and everyone wins. So something came to mind for me that in my experience, I've identified as submissive for many years, but can go into more of like a leading role. But recently I had this new experience in my single life where I was with someone, and I ended up with them on their stomach flat and me behind them, and like totally kind of ramming my pelvis into their ass, as if I was kind of doing them without the doing. And I was so into it, and I was like, wow. And I keep proving to myself that everything I think about who I am as a sexual being is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Like, so Amy, who mostly only gets off to being the submissive role, now has been really into this. Now, since then, I've played into it more of like, pinning their shoulders down and just like grabbing their shoulders and just all these things where I'm just, this is different and new for me. And so I just wanted to put that out there to everyone too, as maybe when we speak, and it sounds like we're speaking in absolutes about how we identify. I know I speak for myself, I'm sure for you too.
I'm shaking my head.
You're shaking your head. And you said that you have this one partner that you do this dominant submission thing with, but with other people you might not. So it's fluid, it's constantly changing. And as more we learn and more we experiment, the more possibilities we see of who we can be and how we can play.
Like, don't get me wrong, I so want to ball gag somebody with like a jawbreaker and like pelt dots,
like drool everywhere,
and like pelt Skittles and dots at them. Like, that's toppy, but that's just the space that I see. Forever kid, I think. But it's just like that speaks to me. Like, I don't want to slap somebody's face, but I will pelt the shit out of you with candy and whip you with like red vine rope as a top. So it's whatever the energy you're feeling, just go with the flow. A lot of the I shouldn'ts, especially when it doesn't pertain to safety, is a lot of like our values and beliefs that we've picked up or society has instilled in us. So it's like you're shifting paradigms, you're challenging the norms. So the fact that you're exploring this aspect, Amy, I think is wonderful, because you're having fun, everybody's consented, and you're just evolving.
I'm excited. It's just the beginning.
Amy. Yay.
Oh, my friends say, Amy's back.
Amy's back. Totally. I was just saying that the other day to someone. I was like, she's back. She's totally back. So Veronica, you have a YouTube channel, I believe. And also, I know that you perhaps have other ways that people can find you if they want to work with you. Can you share for everyone out there kind of your plugs, your handles, whatever you want to share?
Yeah, so I love being on Instagram. I feel like even though people or the Instagram headquarters are being a little more stingy with sex education and whatnot.
You don't say.
I still show up because it's just
pain.
oh God. I just
we still show up too, but we've had to deal with some.
Yeah. So I still love Instagram overall. It just feels the most natural for me. So you'll find me on Instagram. It's going to be in your show notes. Yes. So the YouTube channel is actually where a lot of people find me, because you don't go to Facebook to look up how to use a butt plug or how to be submissive. Oh no, I have a video on how to use a butt plug, and I use a grapefruit as an example. It's just like dripped all over me that day. It was great. Or you'll find videos of me. I started a series where I find pervertibles at different stores. So I started with Bed Bath & Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
What'd you find?
Just watch the video.
Oh, damn it.
Where do they watch it? They go to YouTube?
Yep. So
What's your IG handle too?
So my IG handle is my name, Veronica Yahns, all in one word. And so because I run 2 businesses, the YouTube channel is Desires Laid Bare. So I'll give you the link after that is done as well. But yeah, those videos are what people find me on. And I'm writing a book. So I'm going to start writing a book on how to explore dominance and submission that's fulfilling and unique for the people involved. So that's like the number one question I get. The number one question I get is, my partner and I want to explore dominance and submission, but we have zero idea how. And so I'm like, why don't I write a book about this, especially with my perspective about being empowered, and there is no one true way. There's only one like you way, like however you want to do it, so long as everyone is safe, sane, and consensual. I'm all for it. So it's like, I'm going to write a book. It's going to be like a workbook kind of thing where it's stories of everybody involved so that people get different ideas. But then
Mad Libs for BDSM.
Oh, we could do that too. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And then like I envision like sections or work exercises where like the dominant can fill out answers and the submissive can, and then they have a way to communicate what they want or what makes them happy. And at the end of the day, they have this like roadmap that's unique to their relationship.
When is this book? Do you know approximately, or is it just in the works right now?
So I've done the research, I've done the outlining. I just need to write it. Because, I got to write it. So my goal is before the end of 2019. That is the goal, but who knows? So this was something that came out of nowhere, because I'm like, I don't know how to teach this question other than I feel like a book would be most authentic, because people can write in it. When you write, it's like thoughts that may not come out in words come out later easier, because you can communicate that with the partner. So journaling is super important to me.
Amy and I have had book dreams, and they've slowly been put on the back burner. It will happen. It just always sounds like such a feat that it's but just a slow but sure burn, as you said. Okay, cool. So, and Veronica Yahns is spelled Yanhs.
Yeah. Thank immigration for that. When my family came over in the 80s, like, I swear, I don't know what that guy was on when they were like, yeah, he asked us what our last name is, instead of the usual like Yang or Young that you would Americanize. This guy wrote this thing. And so like, I'm the only Yahns spelled that way on LinkedIn or whatever. It's kind of scary.
That actually makes you special, though. That's also part of your journey.
Tell that to the IRS.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you got to explain it over and over again.
Yeah, or they mess up and they switch like the N and the H, because it's supposed to be spelled like John, like John. So
great job, immigration. Well done. My mom's maiden name was messed up at immigration. I think it was. I won't state what her maiden name is, because then people can find me a little more.
Mine was O'Culligan, because I'm not initially April Lampert. I was Colligan, and it was O'Culligan.
They got rid of the O?
Irish. They got rid of the
That's your O.
I lost my O, but not my O.
No. Well, you're not your O face.
Not my O face.
So yeah, I will give you guys the links for the book waitlist if people want to like be kept up to date on my progress with the book and all that stuff, and the YouTube channels. I give it all to you. I'll pimp myself.
Cool. All right. Well, Veronica, it's been an absolute joy to hang out with you. And I don't know, do you ever drink wine?
I do.
Do you like wine a lot?
More white than red.
Do you love boutique, small batch, super organic, heady wine, as we say sometimes in Santa Cruz? You should check out marginswine.com. I don't should anyone, but it's woman owned and operated. Megan Bell is the winemaker. Boutique, small batch wine. If our listeners out there don't know, now you do. Check out why we love Margins Wine so much. Go to marginswine.com and sign up for her newsletter.
I'm always looking for wine that I like.
It's really yummy. We're drinking some, what is this one? The Moscato, I think. And it's not sweet Moscato. It's not the classic syrupy Moscato. It's really
okay, good.
So I recommend that. And Veronica, I hope I see you again soon. If I'm in Portland, I'm going to try to look you up and hang out because I do love Portland. I'm due for a trip. So
let's do that. Thank you, ladies.
All right. Thank you so much to all of our listeners out there. We absolutely love you. Thank you for tuning in with us every Tuesday or whenever you drop in and listen. Ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.